Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Ehrman.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. All right. Today, let's talk about bad bankers. I was sent an article by a client about an Alabama farm credit office that was making it hard for farmers. Sounds like they were calling notes and telling people that, we're not going to extend a note. You're going to have to file bankruptcy if you don't get this paid. All the stuff that bad banks do. And so a lot of people think, and I've done podcasts before on the fact that I don't hate bankers. I don't even dislike banks. I don't like the fractional reserve banking system. I don't like that they can turn money and they can just print money however they want, and that needs to stop. And infinite banking is one of the ways to stop that. However, it is interesting when we start getting into the conversation of, do we use the bank? Do we not use the bank? Mary Jo, there's no way to do this without the bank. And I get it, 100%. Everybody is going to eventually need the bank if you don't have the cash. Or there are times when interest rates were low that we were leveraging the bank at 2 or 3% interest or 4% interest so we could go do other things. You want to utilize cash correctly, or you want to utilize money correctly. But here is the thing with this article, and this is just how my brain works. Right or wrong, I'm going to probably piss off a lot of people here. As farmers and even business owners, we are going to the bank. The bank then has said item as collateral. I don't care if it's land, cattle, equipment, grain that's in the bins. Frankly, I don't care what it is, but they have the collateral in exchange for the loan. And so if you are going to do business with a bank, we understand that they have all the power. We have given them 100% power. They are now in charge of that piece of our operation. We now went into business with the bank. It is no different than when I say you're putting money into a 401k or an IRA, you are now in business with the government. They make the rules, they can do what they want. Same thing with the bank. And so we have to ask, how much control do we want to give them? And it's very interesting to me when I meet with people who have given up control to the bank, and then the bank decides that they're going to call a note or they're going to do something, right? And all of a sudden, we cannot make a payment, or they call the note because they want to strong arm us into something, or they want to take more collateral. And if you don't give up the collateral, they're going to file bankruptcy. As farmers, we need them, but should we not be figuring out a way to get rid of them or to make them plan B, as I talk about all the time? Because if the bank can strong arm you into the fact that you are going to have to file bankruptcy, or they're going to take something from you because they can call a note, if we are in that type of a situation with the bank, how did we get there? Did we borrow too much money? Did we get too big too fast? Were we not paying attention to our numbers? Yes, there are times where it's going to be a bad year, but did we prepare for that year to be that bad? Did we look at worst case scenario? Are we doing everything we can? Now, there are banks like this particular bank, and I've seen it typically Nebraska and Montana. For whatever reason, the banks in Nebraska and Montana are more corrupt than any banks I've ever seen in any other states. if we've never missed a payment and all of a sudden the bank wants more collateral, why? Are the feds auditing the bank to the point where they need more collateral on their books to look good? Did they maybe do some overlending? Were they a little bit too generous? And so now they're asking for more collateral. It's not you, it's them, but you get caught in the crossfires because you gave them control. And now they can say, oh, we're going to take X, Y, and Z. So there are a lot of good people out there doing business with the banks, making their payments, doing everything right. But when the bank didn't do something right, you're the end of the rope. They're going to come to you to bail them out, and they're going to strong arm you into doing that. So the question becomes, how do we get away from that? So many people want to play victim, but they don't look at how do we stop the madness? We get mad at the bank for doing that, yet we went into business with them. We allowed them to lend us money. We allowed them to take collateral of our things. Does it mean that we have to grow slower? Does it mean that we have to have an off the farm job to make more income so we don't need the bank? What does that look like? And not every situation is going to be perfect. I get it. I get that it's hard. I get all of it. If you're over there screaming at me that I don't understand, that's complete BS because I do understand. My question is, can we do the hard thing and get rid of the bank? Can we stop buying things that we maybe don't need? We can use that money for operating. We could maybe use that money to buy a used piece of equipment that's better. Because what's happening is the operating piece of it, along with all the other loans, it piles up to the point where we give the bank so much control, they can threaten us with one little thing, and all of a sudden we have no spinal cords. None. Zero, zilch, gone. It is utterly amazing to me how many people I talk to that the bank is giving them the ultimatum and they've never talked to another bank. They just believe that bank to be gospel because we've done business with that bank for 20 years, 2 decades, 3 generations. I don't frankly care. And I don't care that the bank is giving you an ultimatum. If you are weak enough to allow the bank to give you the ultimatum and you think that's the end of your rope, then the question becomes, why don't you have a backbone? Why are you not going other places? Why are you accepting that as gospel, that that's all that you can do? Put your big boy and big girl pants on and figure out how to do it. The bank is no different than the government. They will eat up the weak and spit them out. How much control do you want to give them? Even when I didn't have the money I have today, I did not give them any more control than what I could afford to lose. So if I'm going to borrow money for a house, I can't lose that house. I need to live in it. I'm not going to go buy a house that I cannot afford. Worst case scenario, I better be able to make my house payment. Worst case scenario, you better be able to make your land payment, your equipment payment, your cattle payment, your operating note. Worst case scenario. Otherwise, we've overlent. Does the bank, if you've made all the payments, do they have a reason to call the note? Well, they can make any reason because it's them. Should they be able to? No, but it's them. They can do whatever they want. That's part of doing business with the bank. So I'm just here, not just to tick you off today, but to make you think about this. There are corrupt banks out there. This credit union sounded as corrupt as could be because they had a new CEO come in, and that guy didn't care about anybody except his pocketbook. That is the reason most banks are not good, is because they have somebody that is corrupt inside the bank. And it's typically not the banker, right? It's typically not your loan officer. That is typically going to be the board or somebody running the bank. And so that's why I don't dislike loan officers, because they're super nice people. They're just trying to help you do their job. Some of them are getting fired for doing their job correctly and not being dishonest, and some of them are leaving for that reason. Not all bank owners and not all bank boards are good people. So you better figure out, can we get away from them? How do we get away from them? And are we going to have to beat Parkinson's law to do that? I mean, think about it. To me, it all comes back to money. Because if you didn't owe the bank a bunch of money and they started using more collateral or they called a note, it probably wouldn't be so detrimental. They couldn't put you through bankruptcy. They couldn't take everything. But because we are so beholden to them, it puts us in a situation where we just have to do whatever they say. And then if we don't have a backbone on top of it all, it's even worse. So before you go down that road and get so drawn in, you better sit back and say, how risky is this? Because I'm doing business with an entity that I don't know. They could sell out tomorrow. Your local farm bank could stop doing ag notes, because guess what? Not everybody wants to do agriculture notes when prices are bad. They all want to do them when they're good, but not when prices are bad. So maybe we need to look at who they're lending to, and we need to consider the fact that they could sell out to some city slicker bank, and the city slicker CEO is going to come in and he's going to say, no, we're not lending to any of these people. We're not doing any more ag loans, because they're probably not going to even pay anything back. He doesn't understand agriculture. He doesn't understand the lifestyle. And so many people want to blame the banks for not taking the risk when in fact, they took the risk. They lent you money. They're now calling that note and they have 100% control. So we as the borrower forget that we've done business with somebody and we've given them 100% control. So we can't always sit on this side of the table and cry that somebody is doing us wrong, because we signed up for that. That was a risk. That was a possibility. It should drive us to figure out how to get away from them so they can't ever do that again. And how can they not do that again? Well, if we make money farming and we utilize that money correctly, we then wouldn't need the banks. And if you're not making money farming, why aren't you making money farming? Do you know what your books are? Because guess what? There's a ton of people out there making money farming. I talk to them all the time. People think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I see these people. They have meetings with me. We talk. They make money because they know their numbers. I also talk to people that don't make a lot of money, but they don't know their numbers. What is your break even? Do you know that? Are you selling grain for profit? Do you have the correct crop insurance? Do you have everything in place you need in place? Do you know how to run your business? If you don't know how to run your business, you better figure out how to run your business so you have a profit, so you don't need to go to the bank and rely on them for absolutely everything and give them control of your operation. It comes back to money. It is no different than losing a family farm. Why did we lose the family farm? Because somebody wanted to be bought out and we didn't have the money to buy him out. Because we didn't do an estate plan. At the end of the day, it's money. At the end of the day, if the bank is calling a note, it's because of money. Did we have the cash flow? Were we running that business as a profit? So much of what I see in farming, if we just keep asking why, the final answer is money. We have to figure that out. And then these banks they won't have control. If we make them plan B, there's no control. So we have to start utilizing money correctly. We have to start looking at our dollars. We have to start keeping our books. We have to start running it like a business. And I am not the only one screaming this from the rooftop. It is unbelievable how many people in this industry I listen to, and they are all saying the same darn thing. Treat it like a business and start running it like a business. It's no different than if we come back to why are the big guys so big? Because of money. Why is a little guy not getting ahead? Because he doesn't have any money. Why doesn't he have any money? Well, does he know how much money he's making? Does he know what his profit is? How is he utilizing that money? I am not a whiner and a complainer. There are things that I get on Hot Topics about, like rates of return, but I am not a whiner and a complainer. And I am a solution finder, and I am always wanting to find the solution. And that drives a lot of people crazy because I then have to look at myself and go, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong that I didn't figure this out to fix this problem? So I'm always having to look back at me and blame myself for it. So if the bank were to call my note, would that be corrupt? 100%. But then I would go, well, how could have I avoided that? I played a part in that because I signed the paperwork with them. And I think if we can look internally and say, what did I do wrong? We're going to find those solutions, or we're going to find those changes that need to be made so these banks can no longer take advantage. Because what they're doing, what these CEOs are doing and these boards are doing is 100% corrupt. What FSA does in bad offices is 100% corrupt. It maddens me to hear that the good old boys are winning. And there are good old boys that put their people in the right office so they have access to land first. They can stop somebody from buying first. Right? I talked to a young guy just today, and he owns 500 acres of ground. I was ecstatic. He's 24 years old, 500 acres of ground. I said, what the heck? He goes, yeah, I went to He goes, it wasn't easy to buy that land because I went to banks and they said, well, you're only 24 years old. You don't have anything. So how are we supposed to lend you money? You don't have anything. That's why he's here, is to get something. What? Like the stupidity of that. It's like saying, no, I want to hire somebody with experience, but nobody wants to give that person the experience. Are you kidding me? Really? How are they supposed to get experience if nobody gives them experience? Come on, people. Use your head. There's ways to get things done, and the persistent are going to do that. I don't even know where I was going with there. You guys get it. I'm just all over all the time. It's crazy to me that you guys even listen to me, but whatever. I'm glad that you do. I appreciate you. So think about it. Ask internally, am I doing what I need to get away from the banking system? Because they have control and they can screw me no more than the government has control, and the government can change the rules, and the government can do whatever they want. They can increase taxes when they want. You're going to have to fight it. They don't give two craps about it. Why am I a control freak? Because of all of this. That's why I'm a control freak, because I want to have the say. I want to make the rules. I want to change the rules when I want to change the rules. It's mine to make. I'm not going to rely on somebody else. And if I do, I want to know what their rules are. Just not going to easily play that game. Okay, I think you got the point. Hopefully I didn't make too many people mad. Start asking the question instead of being mad at me for pointing something out that maybe you're too deep into the weeds with the bank. Ask, how do I get out of it? Put your feelers aside for the love of Pete and figure out how to get out of it. So many times we're so into our feelers and we're so mad at somebody that we can't even figure out how to get out of something. I'm just being your friend here, pointing out that the problem might not be the bank, it might be you. Sorry, that's a hard blow. I would much rather have somebody tell me, no, it's your thinking, it's your process, we can fix that, instead of just everybody going around and blaming the bank. All right, if you still like me, let me know. If you hate me, let me know. I don't care. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. Mary Jo at withoutthebank.com, or you can go to themjhotline.com and you can record a message for me. If you want to scream at me, go ahead. Do that. I got big shoulders. I can handle it. Otherwise, thank you for being here. I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.